Welcome back. We have with us Dr. Yumna Shafqat Baig, who is FCPS. She's also an oral maxillofacial surgery.
Yes.
And that's, of course, completely, we don't know what it means and we don't know what it entails, apart from the fact that it involves reconstructive surgery.
Yes, we're actually dentists, but maxillofacial surgeons actually deal with a lot of different cases, which is a bit more different from the regular dentistry that we all know.
Okay.
So we deal with facial traumatic injuries, reconstruction, oral cancers, any corrective jaw surgeries. Like some people might not be happy with their chin, they have a smaller chin. Okay. We do chin augmentations.
So in short, you actually return smile to people, right? You give them smiles.
Give them smiles, and a bit more than that when it's facial reconstruction.
So people who are not happy with the, I'm going
Not
to build up on what Pitafi said.
I thought that she is going to point to me and he's not happy.
You need it.
No, I've been told that I personally for myself, I've always felt perhaps I should have gotten braces and I never did when I was growing up. So do people come to you for that sort of thing?
It's
also?
not necessarily people being unhappy. People can unfortunately, get into roadside traffic accidents where they have loss of tissue and bony structures.
So it's about
it's rehabilitation and reconstruction for them so they can have a normal life. I think it's much more noble than just a smile.
Indeed. Dr. Saib, not to take away from your noble profession, let us actually bring the discussion back to Eid. How was your Eid?
Eid is great. Eid is always very exciting for us. Yeah.
Will you share some excitement with us as well?
What do you usually do, like hang out with your family?
Eid day for us is exciting because, early morning Abu people go to masjid and we just, try to be ready before they come back, and then we have this really cute tradition in our family where we all line up for Eid, age-wise. So from the eldest to the youngest, starting from my Abu, so he gives Eid
and how
all the
many
way
siblings
to
are you?
We're 3.
Okay.
Yeah, but Eid generally we're
a lot more
cousins and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, how lovely! I mean, I feel like those kind of traditions are so important. They're so
it's
tiny,
very
but
exciting.
So,
in fact, anyone who of the younger lot, whenever they get like their real paying job, it's like a very exciting opportunity for them. It's like, this year I'm going to be there, I'm the one who's going to give Eid to people this year. So,
yeah, that is the lovely trap that is sprung for
It's
everyone who's being paid. At the start you think that I'm going to be the giver, and then you have to keep
and
on
then you
giving,
have to be the
Exactly.
giver always.
The excitement is for 1 year only.
Really
but it is part of tradition and it is the part of beauty of the festival.
Farooq, how much Eid do you give to your kids, by the way? Now getting right down to the nitty-gritty of
what a loaded question.
Let us, no, hang on. Let us start from gritty rather than nitty. Let us ask you first to tell us how much do you give, and then I'm going to actually chip in.
I can make up things, I can always make up stories. And,
don't lie on camera.
Yeah, like Chat GPT.
Yeah,
these
before,
days it is also adding stories.
Little bit with few hundreds or 500 or something would be sufficient. Now with inflation and now this thing, I mean, I don't know this year what I'm going to do.
5,000.
But at least minimum, 5 so is,
or 10.
Because then I say, look at the clothes I got you, look at this I got you, look at this, so I think I try not to give more than 5 actually.
Okay.
Honestly.
Thank you very much for answering that question. my answer is taken as heard.
You clever dude.
Yeah, thank you very much. But regarding more tradition, you want to say something?
But generally speaking, of course, it's not really. It's about like I find it very endearing. Like you said, people like you have people getting in a queue to get things like this. I think people who I don't want to take it into the serious mode again, but people who've lost their elders, I think for them it's very important, and they keep looking back and thinking how things would have been.
It's nostalgia.
It's nostalgia.
And sometimes, you don't get that feeling yourself.
Yeah.
And you look at the kids and you say, no, it's for them, I have to do it.
Yeah.
But then you're saying, things were much better before, now it's like,
there's a reason why Peter Pan in the story never wanted to grow up. Because the story was written by an adult And the whole thing was, once you actually cross the threshold into age, then you can never return.
That's so true. I mean, that's such a. I agree with that.
And you don't realize that until that time has,
Passed.
Gone.
My daughter is now nearly 8, and she always says to me that, no, Mama, I want to do this like you. I want to get the hair made like this. When I grow up, and I tell her, Manu, don't be in a hurry to grow up so much.
Exactly.
Because it's
I
not all it's cracked up to be.
I try to tell my nieces and nephews, what's growing up is a scam,
It's
beta.
a scam.
It's a scam.
It is a scam. You never come back. It is one-way traffic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's not fun. It's not that much fun.
It's not that,
By the-
honestly.
By the time you realize it's too late,
Yeah, it is.
then it's like,
you're already
okay,
there.
you can't go
Yeah.
back.
You spend 16, 17 years actually hoping that one day you're going to grow up and become an adult.
You want to drive.
The moment you are there, then you realize,
Let's go
what
back.
I've done.
Oh no.
And there's no way that you can do
Yeah,
that.
but coming back to Eid itself, you were talking about Eid. So I take it that savaiya is also part of the sweet noodles are also part of your tradition or something, because it is called meaty.
All the breakfast is with savaiya, but now that Ramzan is over and Shaitan has entered the chat, don't forget to brush your teeth. Yeah.
Mehreen, you also have the same tradition?
Savaiya, or for like breakfast, we do halwa puri,
Halwa
chole.
puri. On Eid?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
This
And
is
then-
unusual, but it
Are
is
you from
great.
Lahore?
No, we're not.
Are
And
you from Lahore?
it's a Lahori. Sounds like a Lahori tradition.
Are you from Lahore?
Sometimes, depending.
Yeah,
On
Lahore,
No, that's nice.
you know, in
Uncle,
every
I'm from
story
Lahore.
there's
It's like a way you go.
in every story there's this talk of a utopia where you get everything you want. So
Yeah.
Lahore is kind of foodies mecca
Yeah.
in that way. Everybody actually
Absolutely.
refers to that.
Yeah.
Naila, earlier you have already spilled the beans that you yourself actually make sweets, desserts before everybody returns. What else is part of your Eid celebration?
Oh my goodness. So now that I have a baby, you just get him dressed up and then make sure that he looks good so he gets a lot of Eid. That means I get a lot of Eid. So I have to make sure that he looks the best. So, by the way, we will be coming to your house tomorrow and to your house as well.
Please do, because we're leaving for Murray tomorrow in the morning, so you can come up,
Yeah, no,
maybe next
don't
week.
worry. I'm just going to come to collect Eid, that's it.
I'm kidding. I'm not going anywhere. And you're most welcome. But people who have kids, then there's no Eid for you.
No, it'll be for him, which will indirectly be for me.
Of course,
See?
please
Yes.
bring him.
That's a clever plan.
Yeah, just
clever
no,
business.
that would be
That would be
when he gets
wonderful.
a little bit older and starts saying, no, this goes into my money box or this is mine, and how
Yeah.
much did I get?
Oh
and
my
just
goodness.
wait for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually,
but-
my kids also remember. I mean, when she
Don't
was smaller.
frighten her. At this moment, she has got a jackpot, huh? A young child.
Yeah, but the age then comes that, then when my daughter would say that, Mama, do you remember when I'd get the Eid and you take it from me? So then the next year, then, when she realized what was happening, then you couldn't do it. But for a long time, the parents, because it was a give and take also.
Yeah.
Na?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep it
Yeah,
Yeah,
safe
it's
for you.
really that.
Oh, there
Yeah.
are 5 kids
Call
over there,
in.
we only got
We have to, yeah, exactly.
So,
and
but
then it's also
I
about
think
the
it's-
fact. Yeah, and it's
You were saying something, Dr.
Yeah, I
Yumna?
think we've all been, tricked into thinking that, Mama's gonna keep it safe for you.
yeah, that
It's a college fund.
It's a college.
Yeah, college fund, shadi fund.
well, she has to get an outfit also for herself now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to touch upon the point you made before our little break. Again, coming back to these international holidays, for example, Easter, Christmas, Holi, Diwali, I think there needs to be more of an involvement from our parents, and as a parent myself, I feel like I need to be a part of my child's life in the sense that I need to give him that knowledge. This is what Eid is. This is what celebration is. This is how we used to celebrate. This is how do you want to celebrate?
Also, I think it's a little bit like for our children, the way it's a lot about if you feel like you haven't had like little bits of Eid that you want to capture and tell your children about. You want them to live that fantasy for as long as they can.
Yeah.
Because
Keep them safe
Yeah.
from the
Safe,
world.
yeah.
Yeah, and it actually takes me back to my own childhood when Eid was upon us. we would seldom sleep on the Eid night, right? Chandrat. And at that time, everybody would be actually busy in some kind of activity, and all cousins would come together. So that was also a mood that perhaps now is not there. But there are umpteen other things that are there. Regarding the international holidays or the other religions' festivities, what I notice is that most of them have some kind of activities. For example, you brought up holy colors, right? You are playing with colors. Christmas is one of the way it is decorated, the way it is, you get concessions and everything. Perhaps our business sector also needs to know what the spirit of Eid or celebration is.
Agree,
where you don't make more money, but you actually give something
the
back
art
to the
of
community.
giving.
Or it's just the opposite over here. It's
Yeah.
just the opposite. Everything becomes
That's what
far more expensive. But you know, over there, that mood of that spirit of Christmas starts like a month before.
Yeah.
You go and you have all this. Forget about the sales and everything.
And
it's just,
even
you know,
the sales,
the music
you know,
and all the carols that are being sung in malls
it's
and
a
everything.
whole vibe.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
And you
but-
go for that.
spirit.
Like last year I was there. I mean, this year I was there over Christmas, and last year I remember. You know, there's a whole vibe you go for.
Right.
Even if nothing's open, it's just
but
the way it looks and the way it's decked
Exactly.
out.
Even
Mahrukh,
schools are
but you are
closed.
not perhaps
Yeah.
noticing, but we here also in this Eid, we have a month-long vibe.
Yes.
That is Ramzan itself.
Ramzan,
Yeah.
yes,
Right?
that's
So it is a slow build-up.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
After 30 days or 29 days
Right.
of depriving yourself of food,
Yeah, that's
suddenly you can eat as much as you want.
Yeah.
Food, comma.
I feel like
And
I saw this really interesting post on social media. There was this mom who made a Ramadan corner and an Eid, like full-fledged
Yeah,
Eid decorations, and I thought that was the sweetest thing ever. That is something that I would love to implement in my life eventually, because again, you're creating that whole environment of celebration, and everyone who comes in is not just gonna, you know, just meet you. They're going to say, "Oh
What's
my
the Eid
goodness!"
corner? I mean, what did she have over there?
She
Like
had-
bangles, mehndi, and stuff.
Yeah, and she had those fairy lights and lantern lights, and she had candles, flowers, and just, you know, she made it very warm and homely.
Like I feel like now, like I think this year and last year, for the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of suhoors happening.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't like this, like, you know, maybe 5 years ago. There wasn't so much, you know, there was more iftars, but I feel like that's also nice, because you're celebrating Ramzan in a way which you'd never do it. Like, you won't go out to have a meal so much at 2:30. You won't find the restaurants, especially in Islamabad, you know, you won't find restaurants open. You won't find that kind of vibe again that we're talking about, that Pitafi sahab mentioned.
When you're
so
half
I think
asleep.
that's true. Sorry?
You're half asleep yourself, like.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's like a way to make it more fun, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is part of the adventure, right?
Yeah.
But regarding the adventure on Eid day also, perhaps we can, I mean, I understand that the other Eid also has some kind of, you know, action involved as well, with all the goats and all the animals and
sacrifices.
all that. But in this one, perhaps we need some kind of additional activity. Perhaps our imaginative minds can come up with
Yeah,
some
that's
more.
true actually. Because
Because-
people, it's either for food, comma, and then the sleep, and then, you know,
Yeah.
it becomes a little boring. So it
Yeah.
has to
Or
be a
just
little-
your outfit or pictures. But one point that was touched upon was, that's what I was trying to touch upon too, is that abroad or worldwide, like other holidays, Holi, Christmas, Diwali, you know, Yom Kippur, all of these Jewish, like different religions, right? A lot of them are like very well celebrated, but then Eid, it's not that much prioritized. So for my nieces and nephews back in USA, they have to take off like their own personal day off. So I think that schools should just give at least one day off,
Yeah.
so they can, you know, properly celebrate and be with their families.
Yeah, I remember, that's true. I remember when we were there, like when I was studying, I remember it was like a November, the Eid was in November, and
Thanksgiving,
it was like a,
that's
you know,
another huge thing
and
in
it
America.
was a cold day, and I remember, you know, the classes and everything, and it's sort of, they should give that one day to people
Just
who want to
even
celebrate.
one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, but,
We're fighting for it. We've been fighting for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but because we are
exactly,
not merely talking about the US, but the entire Western
Yeah,
hemisphere,
Western,
right?
yeah.
The North. But perhaps it also depends on how your community actually, you know, organizes itself, and then actually
Absolutely.
goes for activism. because it needs
Yeah.
activism to convince the authorities to allow that kind of
Yeah.
holiday as well.
Actually, a lot of schooling districts there, like some of them, have actually come out with that. They've announced like at least one day off from school for Eid.
I think that's very important.
I think it
that
is,
the way other
yeah.
holidays are internationally celebrated, Eid should be.
Exactly.
also.
Like all holidays, all religions should be respected.
But,
and
I agree that the local communities over there, they should really have a
Yeah.
presence
Yeah.
in the suburbs or wherever they are, so that those students can actually have
Usually
that
when it
experience.
comes to, and agreeing with your point actually, not that we are agreeing with each other, but just to point out that when you talk about community and everything, usually any diaspora that is there, right? May it be Indian diaspora or may it be Jewish diaspora or anyone else, they are one community when it comes to celebration, right? We are too politicized somehow.
That's true.
Indians are not.
Allah.
They will be only one community, Indian community.
yeah.
We somehow become PMLN community, PTI community, some other
Yeah.
community, and that becomes a problem because then you cannot have the kind of action you need.
I think
The
it should
Muslim
be
community
Muslim.
has to be united.
Yeah.
Has
At
to
least
have a
Pakistani
united
community,
front. Yeah.
right?
I have one question for you guys though, because I mean, you guys are asking us the questions, but it only feels right to ask you guys a question. How is your Eid going?
Yeah. You start.
You're
No. You-
No, Eid is actually really good as far as it's like your Eid. I think there's hardly any difference in that, and this generally involves family and children and just eating and like I said, after a while it gets a little boring. But
Pictures.
then eventually friends and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just told you that I have two girls, right? And one is 16, one is 14. So there's never a dull moment in our house, right? Also, fathers have this connection with daughters that they celebrate also. So every time my elder one is like more of a philosopher, right? She talks a lot and always good stuff. So she needs my full attention, and she actually sits down and tells me how the universe is. Right?
Wonderful.
So that is
Very
awesome.
nice.
My younger one is more physical kind, right? So she comes close and she just actually touches herself with you. Yeah, and then she is charging, right? So I'm also charging. So with their presence, I don't think that Eid can be dull at all, right?
Oh yeah, with girls
Although,
in the house, that's definitely.
Yeah,
I
if
think,
I
yeah,
wanted to
right.
flip the argument, of course, there was a time when we were children. It was carefree time, especially Dr. Saba, you mentioned your parents and all. So one does miss that time when one used to receive Eid rather than all the shouldering all
Yeah.
the responsibility.
Yeah,
but still, it is fun.
It becomes about children then instead
Yeah.
of about you.
It's
and I think
giving
for me
and
also
that-
it's
yeah.
about a lot about how to make it fun for them, how to make sure they have the perfect outfit and the perfect, and girls are generally more picky.
Yeah,
with
particular
how they
about
want,
their stuff.
things.
You haven't met the younger boys these days. They are very picky.
Yeah.
as well.
I don't have a boy, so I don't know how.
No, I have
But I have a
nephews.
niece and nephew, and they are, you're right, quite picky.
Yeah.
So it's generally about making them happy and less about yourself. It becomes less about you.
Yeah.
And I think also if for families, when you're married, it becomes a lot about elders also. It becomes about catering to the overall, paraphernalia
Household,
and
yeah.
how, that's very important. And of course, giving to lesser, that becomes a big part of
Right.
your Eid also. In your own area and wherever you feel you need to send stuff as far as clothes or
Yeah.
I think those are very important things, and I think those teaching them to your children, passing them to them, making them empathetic. I don't want
Right.
to take away from, but I think it's very important because I feel that empathy generally is receding
Yeah.
now. We're not.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
role model
Earlier
for your
we-
kids,
Yeah.
So whatever you are going to do, they're going to emulate.
Yeah, exactly.
So the values that you're showing or whatever you're
Yeah.
demonstrating,
Yeah.
that's what they'll catch
Actually,
on to.
this is a great point, by the way, influence. And that is something that I used to think that we are, when we grow up, we are not that impressionable. So recently I just started doing, after 17 years of marriage, I started experimenting with cooking, right?
With?
Cooking.
Really?
Right?
wow.
And it turned out that I wasn't that bad a cook. And then I was recollecting.
I have a feeling we are definitely going to their house
Right.
tomorrow.
Then I started actually thinking, one day wife says, after so much time you are doing this. I recall there was an ad some 6 months ago. One of the big celebrities, Sarmat Khusat, actually with moustaches, actually cooking for his wife. He actually looks at the pictures and then realizes wife is not in the picture or anytime, right? And then he realizes that she was always cooking, so he goes and then cooks something for her. So I at that time I didn't know that it will get to me, but it got to me. So these influences also play a role.
Like
whether you are going to be an example.
Here's my wife. I think I should do something for. I mean, you had to go and see that whatever you saw. For you to have those kind of considerate feelings for your wife.
What else am I telling you?
Oh my God!
Yeah, and the kids now, they're such wise guys. Like my 7-year-old comes up, and in front of there's so many people there, and she goes, "Oh, my mama doesn't know anything. She doesn't know how to cook or drive." And I was, literally, I was just like, what do I say to this kid? There's other things I know. I don't know how to cook or drive. But it's important for them. They pick out on what mothers do or what they can do and what.
Oh, they will always be comparing also. Yeah,
yes.
That
and
kid's mother does this and this. Why don't you do
you
this?
Don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So you better be useful to them. That's a tip for all of you.
Right, but regarding cooking as well, especially in Ramzan, because there are so many YouTube channels, there are so many programs where you keep on seeing people actually cooking. It has become very easy. I mean, my elders talk about my mother, even my father, when he tried to cook something. It was very difficult because you had to follow instructions written in a book. There was no demonstration. There was hardly any kind of inspiration. But that is not the case now.
No.
5 minutes and you get everything.
Anyone wanting to learn how to cook now, I feel like, unless you're really, really, really bad at cooking, which I think I am, but generally I feel like anybody would be able to
follow a recipe.
I've got like 1,000 recipes downloaded and ask me how many I've made out of them. Not one.
I have a special skill though. I can get people to make stuff.
May I give you a tip, a small tip? It is not my place, but I am just speaking from experience. Just try one of them, and once it is executed to perfection, you will get this pull that takes you back to the kitchen, especially when you have 3-4 satisfied customers at home.
I can
and
do
they're
that.
beaming at you that you have made something.
Like, oh, what else can I make?
So coming back to what you said, that you've found this new passion
just like
for cooking.
I delegate.
What did you cook? What was the first dish that you made?
Right, there are simple things. The Western food was something that I already could muster up. But the desi, pakwan, I didn't know that there are so many curries and there are so many moving parts. And all of a sudden, there was the other day I tried cooking this, and I succeeded, by the way. Malabar chicken curry. It has 7 stages. And I went through all of them, and by the time I was done, everybody at home is looking at me. What have you done? How much time did you spend in the kitchen?
Oh my goodness.
But it was like really time well spent, right? Similarly, other curries as well. We South Asians have such a tradition. Unfortunately, because of this India-Pakistan, for fighting all the time and quarrel, we haven't been able to make maximum use of what India cooks. And India perhaps doesn't get what we
the good things about it is that when you look at their recipes, they've got everything which you can find over here. I mean, in Western things, there's some things which you may not be able to find the ingredients. But mostly, they have all those things which you are readily available in the market, and you can make exactly those same things.
Exactly.
Now, there was I was looking at it, was called an egg curry, anda curry, something. It was all green, but it looked so yummy, and they had and it took quite a long time, if you think about it. It looks easy, but there are lots of things, things that you have to get, ingredients that you have to get, and you have to go through a whole process. And then there were cashew nuts in it also, and then you have to grind this and do this. But it turned out like, I haven't made it. I'm sure it turned out everything. I'm thinking of making it.
You have
because it was so yummy.
This Kerala experience was like you have to first get crushed coconut, then you have to actually cook it and burn it,
Yeah.
right? And then you have to crush it further.
It sounds
and
like a
then,
lot
yeah,
of work.
so many
A lot of
steps.
dedication.
Similar,
Yeah,
but
that's like those South Indian dishes, no?
Yeah.
Where they have this coconut nearly in every,
Yeah.
everything.
But it was great.
But
I
you know,
mean,
like we talk about technology and how the bad side of it, the good side, like my mother's not very tech savvy and she is not here, she lives in Lahore. And you know, she recently, like in this Ramzan, she started sending me this. I would call her and I was like, what should I tell him to make? You know, every day for me, I mean, deciding what to ask
Cook every
the
day.
cook is becoming, you know, to please, of course, to please everyone also, because everybody has a different taste. And she was like, you know, recently I saw this. She sent me this link of this YouTuber who was making these. This lady in the house who's from India, and she's making these, you know, Pakistani food. And it was like, you know, every day she would be, and I was so amused by it. I was like, you're not that kind of a person, but she was embroiled in it. You know, her Ramzan was spent looking at it and then deciding what should she get made for the house, and she was so occupied and happy doing it that I actually felt so good that at least there's that option for people when family is not there.
right, Dr. Yumna, I tell you something that all this discussion reminds me of something.
Okay.
And that is, you know, my child's birthday, right? She was 5 or 6 at that time, and we were holding this party at some restaurant. All classmates were actually invited. We had to actually, I was given the duty that I had to take care of parents who come there, right? And I consider myself a talk show host and somebody who can chat up to anybody. But I'm trying to talk about anything, and people are not just opening up, right?
Okay.
All of a sudden, I get this brainwave. I've tried politics, sports, you know, international affairs, everything, entertainment. Then we start talking about food. And there came a time that kids are waiting and parents wouldn't shut up.
Do you
So-
cook, Dr. Yumna?
I do, but I cook when I feel like it. So it's for luxury. I think everyday cooking is a bit more different
Yeah.
than cooking for fun. When it's a whole
what do you like
experience
to
and then
Desserts or you?
I can do a bit of everything. Yeah, there was a phase when I was really into baking cookies and brownies and stuff, and then there was this phase where I wanted to, you know, try my hand at nihari and, you know, maybe try to perfect puri and yeah.
So like hardcore.
More complicated.
Yeah, but you know,
Puri,
only
perfecting
one project
puri
at a
might be a bit
time. One project at a time. So and yeah, with backup food, obviously that mama makes.
Yeah, but if you are a foodie and then you actually get the inspiration to cook as well, that becomes a really liberating experience.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
And like you said, once it turns out really good and people like it, it's very elating experience.
I think the
You get
encouragement.
dopamine rush,
Yeah.
right? And when you get that hit, then you keep on going.
Then you want to keep doing it.
Yeah, something you started baking for 3 hours and it finishes in 10 minutes, na?
That's the reward, no? That's what you do it for.
Okay.
That's always a compliment, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, initially everything is going to be lengthy. Then you understand how to juggle many things, and then things start.
Same with ordering food, right, Mehreen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, okay, as far as menu goes, let's discuss menu.
yeah.
So in my house, we always do either pulao or
For
biryani.
Eid.
For Eid.
Okay.
For Eid. Usually like nargisi kofte and yeah, other, you know, savaiya and kheer and stuff like that for dessert. But there always has to be a rice dish.
Yeah, I think that's true for
Yeah,
most.
chicken roast and, you know, chana chaat. My mom's
Yeah,
specialty.
rice is something I was never that taken to, right?
Yeah.
But with
Really?
my
We
but
love
my
rice.
daughters
Yeah.
and my wife actually they love rice, and somehow I never thought that I can actually eat boiled rice with anything, right? That
Yeah.
I come from, you know, a small town and carry my own cultural burdens and all that, or taste for that.
You're not the
matter.
dal chawal school.
Dal chawal. That's a
Not
classic.
essentially the uble with chawal, right?
Yeah.
But then after it became a staple in the house because of the kids, and now everybody enjoys it.
Yeah.
So that is also something that is there.
Well, to make it a little tastier, what you should do is just add a little butter to it.
No,
Because
I
if you put a
can't.
little butter,
I can't.
You can't.
Yeah, I'm not permitted to have too much fat.
Yeah, that's because of
Because
your
of
But you know,
age.
another thing is if you leave carbs, like for example, you mentioned, you know, like you don't have rice. But if you leave rice or if you leave carbs and, you know, then eventually your body gets used to not having rice.
I'm
and
sorry,
not
when
having.
you said
Oh, like
carbs, I thought you were talking about cows. And I said, why would I like cows? I don't.
No, like you know, you
No,
had
like
just, you know, when you said, you know, I've started like cooking. I didn't get it, you know. I said, what? And I was looking at you. I said, cocaine? Yeah, I like cooking. I said, oh my God, he's like saying he liked cocaine. So, you know, I mean, it was cocaine.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it's the very in the
No,
similar way.
like you know, generally it's like what your body gets used to.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah.
I mean, Eid is not the occasion to talk about not having rice, but if you get used to cutting carbs, if you get used to not
Yeah.
having rice and roti and all those things, then somehow it becomes like your normal. Then
It becomes your-
difficult
yeah,
to
your normal,
sort of
right.
get into.
But amazingly, there are, you know, various cultural events, various things, right? And you will, one is surprised that how many festivities actually revolve around sitting together and breaking
And
bread
having food.
together.
Yeah.
It is about
Yeah.
food, right? It is about other cultural things, but it is essentially about food. And we somehow, as we move up in the society
Right.
and get the kind of, you
Yeah.
know, comfort, creature comforts, we somehow start underplaying it. But it is part of the culture, right? Naila?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah,
But
what's
now
a party without a cake
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Food brings
Absolutely.
people together. Yeah,
Without the
definitely.
meat
I'm
and
also
the
thinking about one aspect.
Yeah.
We've spent, you know, the past month fasting, trying to control our diet, all for the sake of Allah. And, you know, on,
Not controlled diet.
I
Actually,
mean,
starve for a bit.
starve for a bit, yeah.
For him.
For
right?
him, yeah, of course. And then, you know,
If we want to
on
lose
Eid-
some fat or weight, that is
that's
another
another
month.
aspect.
Yeah.
But
then,
you know
then
what?
you can do intermittent fasting
Yeah.
afterwards.
But then you're also kind
Yeah.
of, some people do control their diet because it gives
Yeah.
them a reason to
Yeah,
quit
yeah.
certain habits, quit,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
sugar or carbs or, you know, cut meat out of
Smoking.
their, yeah,
Yeah.
stuff
And
out of
it-
their life.
If viewers, you anybody who has been addicted to smoking has been suffering for quite some time, the best thing is fasting, because in fasting you don't have any workaround, right? So for when you are spending most of the day without smoke,
Yeah.
then you gradually realize that you can quit.
Yes.
Generally, to make or break a habit, you need around 21 days. It's evidence-based.
Okay.
So we get around 30 days to either make a habit of praying regularly, and you know, or to break a habit about, you know, smoking or any other thing that you want
I
to
know,
let
but
go.
if you're talking about fasting and Ramzan and quitting, you know, like smoking or food or anything for that matter, you know, then there's some people who cannot bear it and they start losing it, you know.
Yeah.
They're
They
going
start
through
getting
withdrawal.
angry,
Yeah.
aggressive, and they say you have to take it because you see I'm fasting, so you know
Yeah, but
the other
is
person
it
has
also
to take that
Huma,
attitude, which is
That's
but-
not fair.
The tolerance
Yeah.
of
But
it.
Huma, is it not true that fasting is not merely about controlling your appetite, but
Yeah.
also your impulses?
yeah. So you
Yes.
tell that to that
Yes.
person, nah,
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is, you know, there has to be, I think there needs to be more education, and our religion really centers on that.
Yeah, you
what
lose
Pitafi
me.
Sahib is saying.
You lose me when you say there has to be, right? Because if it hasn't happened in 75 years, I don't think it is going to happen.
No, I feel
anytime
like
soon.
we can make more of an effort trying to educate people around us on the tolerance bit. I think it
Yeah.
needs to
In our
be-
own respective circles,
Yeah.
starting
No,
from there.
No,
of
no.
course.
Let us flip the argument. Let us actually do something else. Let us, each one of us, actually try to educate ourselves. Because
Yeah.
what
True.
we have got
Fair
in
enough.
this society is everybody pontificating to everybody else,
Fair enough.
right? And that becomes the reason for clashes. But if you are actually telling yourself you shouldn't be doing that.
I think let go. I think the concept of letting go and letting things be and becoming
being patient.
you know, forgiving. I think
Yeah.
those things are very much a part of Islam, and somehow we I feel like
What
they-
about the fun part of road rage?
Yeah, I was coming to that. This is, if you want to see where actually it really bites, when everybody is fasting and then they
Yeah.
lose
And
it.
then
it
they
is
are
on the
on the
road.
road.
Safari time and they're driving and it's like, oh, you know, they have to reach there and no matter how many cars they
and
smash.
there was
or-
there really bad accidents that
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
this
sad-
time
sad
also.
is-
just
Sad
before
incidents
Flari.
have
But
happened.
Right.
even apart from that, when some two people actually have to pull up and start fighting, that is also a scene, right?
Yes.
But that also shows that all this talk about how you are supposed to control your nafs, your ego and all that, right? That somehow goes away. So we have to, I think,
I want
in
to
principle
add
agree.
something which is a bit off topic, but in these incidences where accidents happen, I want to mention that I can't stress and emphasize enough the need to wear helmets. Okay, I might actually go out of work if people start wearing helmets, because a lot of the head injuries and the facial trauma can be avoided with the simple act of being a bit, uncomfortable with the act of wearing a helmet, but it would really save and
Have a huge
avoid
impact.
That's a good message.
action.
You
to go
can't
out
be
even
more,
on this.
you can't take enough precautions with
And I think
Like-
there should be heavy fines on the fact of rash driving and
All right. You wanted to say something? Add something?
I'd like to say one thing.
Yeah, please go.
Just that one of the things that we've touched on during our show is that, the Eid is all about tradition. And just like Naila was saying, you have a son, and that you're just teaching him things, showing him things about like the Eid traditions and things like that. So especially now with we were talking about how it's a digital age and things like that, it's all the more necessary for us to pass it along to the next generation so it doesn't die out.
Right, on that positive note, I'm told that we have to conclude the program. Thank you very much, Mehreen Ali Mirza, for your precious
you
time.
for having me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yumna, for being part of the program.
thank you so much for inviting me.
Naila Shuja, thank you very much.
Thank you for
We
having me.
will keep on meeting in the, on air as well in coming days, and same goes for Huma Hashmi. Thank you very much for all the
Thank you
smiles.
very much for inviting.
All the smiles that you bring in this program.
So sweet of
and
you.
then you also actually bring into the work culture as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
with
so
that, we have to conclude the program here. Because Eid transmission has to continue. It will continue, but we leave here. And the point at this moment is, especially when you talk about this Eid, because it comes after 1 month of training. And this is what we were talking about, restraining yourself, controlling your impulses, also appetite. After that, the first message that you get is this is Eid ul-Fitr, Eid of charity. Especially when your country is in distress, let us go out and ensure that today no house remains without celebration or happiness that they deserve. So this was today's program. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.
Eid Mubarak.